You're late. Our master grows impatient. He wants the Shire rats now.
Orcs. They are the fantasy equivalent of cavemen. They grunt, they can barely string a sentence and are aggressive and brutish. They are the bad guys in movies.
Everywhere I go, live orcs always gotta be the bad guys.
Bad and stupid.
Whoa, 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 man!
What is that, yeah?
What is that? That's a cat, is it?
What are they? Because in some fantasy worlds, orcs can be hunters, monks, mages, and builders.
Do not steal or attack anyone in the stronghold.
So in this video, we'll investigate why there is a negative bias towards these creatures on our screens. According to the etymology dictionary, the word orc describes a devouring monster, an ogre. Supposedly it originated from the late 16th century from words like Latin orcus, which meant hell, Italian orco, describing a demon, and Old English orcneas, which depicted monsters. And it was used in the Old English epic poem Beowulf. Now this is also speculated by T.A. Shippey in Creation from Philology, who wrote that Beowulf's orcneas and that the beginning of the word orc may come from Latin's orcus, which I already mentioned, means hell or underworld. Now in the past, orcs were mythical creatures. They could have been sea monsters or giants. But one thing was certain, orcs were ugly.
They're fresh.
But it was the Old English description of these demons and evil spirits that inspired the father of modern fantasy, J.R. Tolkien, and his description of this humanoid race. Tolkien said he adopted it because it sounded good.
I tell you what though, folks, that's bloody nice.
Orc is not an English word. It occurs in one or two places, but it's usually translated as goblin or hobgoblin for the larger kinds. Orc is the hobbit's form of the name given at that time to these creatures, and is not connected at all with our orc applied sea animals of dolphin kind. So that was Tolkien. Now, you know, these old mythologies are vague, and many creatures, goblins, dwarves, and fairies, aren't clearly defined. Tolkien took the ideas and made them clear on a page, which is what people like, right? He built on what was there before, and then the modern depiction of the creatures developed from there. Games were the natural next step in the development of orcs. And when we look at their portrayal in early Dungeons & Dragons by David C. Sutherland III for Monster Manual, they don't resemble orcs as we know them now. I mean, okay, there are some similarities, but they are pig men with low intelligence. They are bullies, they're mostly just meat cannon, grunts. In Warhammer 40k, the orcs are much more powerful, the brutes, the warriors of the green-skinned species. Now, from the clips,
this planet is mine now. All the orc boys answer to me.
We can hear that they aren't that smart, right? Or at least they don't appear to be.
Alright, Gretchins, watch yourselves. Buzz, Gretchins are ready.
If there's no enemy to fight, they will fight each other. So again, they're very primal creatures.
Where's my flying thing?
Now, the choice of accent could also be accidental, because Brian Dobson, a British-Canadian actor, voiced the orcs, which gave them that specific sound.
You don't know much about orcs, do you, Greyskin?
Warcraft is quite similar, but people on the Blizzard forum argued that even though orcs are portrayed as stupid, if we look at their actions and level of industrialization, we shouldn't make these simple assumptions. When we listen to the clips from the games, they sound simple-minded.
Me so horned, me hurt you long time. Me no sound like Yoda, do I?
But in a Warcraft movie, they aren't painted as one-dimensional beasts. We get more depth to the race, even from this one scene.
Remember when we would track blood ox through the Frostwind dunes? There was always meat.
boy's life.
But still, it is a far cry from noble elves.
I half expected you to arrive caked in grime and mud.
This time frostbite and troll blood.
So even though there is a variety in games regarding orcs, stereotypes are difficult to shake off.
Oi! Stop staring! Start walking! Last chance!
Unfortunately, we have to point back to Tolkien for this. In one of the appendices on language in Lord of the Rings, he wrote that orcs and trolls spoke without the love of words, and that their language was actually more degraded and filthy than he has ever shown it. So, the way they speak is vile, full of hatred, simple and without subtlety.
You're mine now, love. Forever and ever.
Intelligence is a measure of how people speak.
Some people are really fucking stupid.
Orcs are on the lower spectrum of smartness, so their language reflects that. Also, it's well known that Tolkien was against mass industrialization, and orcs represent that.
The old world will burn in the fires of industry.
They are a metaphor for mechanization and industry that destroys the environment and pollutes the world. So these descriptions are somewhat of a demonization of industrialized workers and the working classes. They only care about their basic needs.
I'm starving. We ain't had nothing but maggoty bread for 3 stinking days.
You can't have conversations with them.
Where's the rest?
I stand alone.
Cut off her right side.
And they try to solve every problem with force. And of course, they look nasty too. So if it's a comment on industrial labor, well, that's pretty harsh. And maybe that's why originally in Lord of the Rings they wanted to make them sound Slavic.
Originally I was told that the orcs were meant to be Slavic, have kind of a Russian accent, so we're taking the orcs, he's taking the hobbits to Isengard.
Which is incredibly offensive to me. At the same time, I can easily think of a relative who could fit with the orcs, so maybe they were onto something there.
Mariusz, what you eat? Yes, of course. I eat everything.
In the Rings of Power, they tried to soften the commentary a bit, and the orcs have more agency and nuance than in the Peter Jackson trilogy. There was that infamous orc scene where we could see a whole orc family. So, they tried to change their image, but of course, everyone hated it. And I think it's because it's hard to break that perception. We're used to evil, one-dimensional orcs as foot soldiers for Sauron, Morgoth, or Saruman.
Burn it.
When we look at movies besides Lord of the Rings, orcs pretty much stick to the template. In the Dungeons & Dragons movie, the orc in prison is a brute and immediately goes for an assault.
I've been in a lot of cells. Never shared one with a female.
In this Uwe Boll classic, orcs are a copy-paste from video games. They don't even speak, and they're like uber stupid. And any other big or independent entry follows a similar trope.
A warrior has always come to stand guard over the world's gates.
Evening, boys.
Some stay long.
Behold your fate. Your house has ended.
And as with dwarves sounding Scottish and elves being posh, orcs' accent is exaggerated English associated with the poorer working class.
I have friends who are upper class, I have friends who are, working class, but not working class.
It's over the top, it's simple, it's vulgar, giving out that, football hooligan vibe. Now, some say it's equivalent to Cockney, an English dialect associated with the working or lower middle class in London.
What do you know about education, you melt?
You're having a Turkish, ain't you?
I never read a book in my life. I went to the University of Life, my son.
In movies, characters with Cockney are petty criminals, street gangsters, you know, the tough guys.
They named me after the name of the plane. Not many people are named after a plane crash.
So naturally, it fits the Orcs.
You want some? Huh?
What you want, son? Huh? You want some?
All of the above creates the stereotypical orc, an easy enemy, a barbaric, one-dimensional character. You know, the look of a savage beast with a scary face, and in some cases a large muscles play into the perception. You add animalistic shouting, growls, simple aggressive language, and a hint of an accent associated with the working classes, and you get a war-mongering race, a perfect enemy for any wannabe hero.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!
And that image doesn't really change as much in different movies or series. We get the occasional smarter portrayal of orcs in video games, but mostly it follows the initial description Tolkien put in his books, inspired by old myths and legends.
You see that orc? He's so lazy he can't even be bothered to taunt you.
And anyone who ever witnessed a drunk uncle at a Polish wedding knows that myths aren't that far from reality. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.